The world's calling out for more spirituality, more practical spirituality. There's so many people that are leaving the religions they have grown up with because they don't feel a place there for themselves. They don't agree with everything that the old books have said, partially because it can seem outdated or not inclusive, or they just don't see themselves in any of the characters in the stories, or they're the ones being fought against in the stories, or they're just not hearing the stories in a way, the stories aren't presented in a way that the full light of the story can be shined upon, where we can really see the reasoning behind the stories. We just see a superficial context of those religious stories. And with these people, we're not in any particular camp. Then we have no camp. There is no sermon specifically for us. There is no church, no community gathering, or very little of them for people like us to go to. So we end up having a lot of people who are trying different things with choppy spiritual advice, and then it can get put out of context, or we don't have the consistency to follow these things all the time. With this channel, I'd like to somehow fill a little bit of that need for spirituality, kind of put my understanding on multiple topics and see how they can transmute from your spiritual, mental, and physical, emotional bodies. And that way we can use these principles in order to not only deal with life, but to have a thriving life. This way we can unite with each other. Different religious groups can unite with each other and see that we all fundamentally want the same thing, right? There are very few people, if any, that are actually born bad. We grow up and have these paradigms that are instilled within us, and then we don't know how to get out of them, or we don't even realize that they're there. We just find ourselves disliking a certain group, a certain type of person, and we don't understand why. And a lot of us don't even care to understand why. Through spiritual practice, we can identify those things inside of us and then work to overcome them. We can work to break down those barriers between ourselves. And this will show us these similarities, and we can dive into deeper stories and a different understanding, a different explanation of religious stories or spiritual stories, however you want to look at it. And will provide practical tools in order for us to use the spiritual teachings in our lives, instead of just understanding the story and hearing the story and seeing the superficial value of the story, but what does it mean to me, and having some kind of external creator God that runs the show. We can then learn to be a co-creator, and this way we still have an unwavering respect and gratitude for an ultimate creative knowledge, but we don't sacrifice our capabilities of being a co-creator in the world. And that way it'll change our thought process, and it'll change the way we look physically, the way we think mentally, the way we feel emotionally. And this can lead to an unlimited amount of benefit. So that's what I hope to do. I'm going to start posting videos on all sorts of topics, and I hope you follow along.